So it's February 1st. I'll call this meeting of the Amherst Building and Grounds Committee to order at 11:36. Our first order of business on the agenda is to accept the two sets of meeting minutes. So our first set of meeting minutes is from November. Does anyone have any corrections or changes to the November minutes? Yes. Okay.
Is Terry online?
I don't think she's on yet.
Okay, I'll focus back. So on the 9 minutes, I use the video to go back and make some notes that were useful.
On the
So,
November minutes?
November 9.
Okay,
Good thing we had the video.
Yeah,
exactly. No, that's fine. It's great to have the
because I
November.
don't have cable, but I have YouTube, so
Yep.
I appreciate you guys letting me fall asleep. One couple things that were raised up, and I can send to you whatever the right way to do it. We can maybe approve it and then edit, whatever. The cost of EMS renovation is set about the same if we do the HVAC work with fund balance and later do the other renovations, like throughout the classrooms, as it would have been if we had done the full renovation at once. That was one thing that was discussed in that.
So where's that? I'm gonna make the changes on my.
I should have done that. Just give me a second here.
Oh, yeah, no. If you, however you wanna work it, I can just make corrections.
If y'all are okay with that wording or that idea, we can approve the concept, I guess, and then,
So I'm sorry, Greg, if you could roughly tell me where in those minutes
yeah, let me
you're
look through this.
correct.
There were this is the 9th, we were talking about the renovation using fund balance. So I think it's around here where it says financing options, I believe, it's around
Okay, so down.
around there. I get
Like 3/4 of the way down.
Yeah,
Okay, so, you know, financing options available for the ZA are as follows. Okay.
And so what are you wanting changed or?
I just want
corrected?
nothing changed, I
In
want
addition?
added, yeah,
Okay.
added that we discussed. If we do this AMS, I call it renovation on the video, the cost of the AMS renovation is expected to be roughly the same. If we do the HVAC work now with fund balance. And then later on, come back and do the other renovations, such as square off the classrooms. As it would have been if we had done everything all at once, because they talk about how they're gonna HVAC in a smart way, is that we're not gonna like redo it or whatever, you know, whatever it's called. Damage the HVAC to then do the later work, so it's a piecewise, and it's not gonna cost the community more money.
The way we're doing it now.
Right,
Is what you
we
said.
spent some time on that.
Okay, so you just want to get that added?
Yeah, we did a good job of making sure it was not just
Yeah,
bare minimum we could afford with the money, but actually saying like, the work is not gonna cost more. That was one, I think
Yep.
more.
great. What's your next?
In
one?
the radiant, so it's, I'm not sure how I did this, I thought I did logically in timestamps, but the next one I have is about the radiant tiles,
Is
which
that same meeting?
same meeting, these are all
Okay, great.
9. Radiant tiles, which I see that's earlier up in the minutes. But, I think this was very late in the video, if my memory serves, from watching this last night. That, you know, I was really concerned about the cost of repairing something like that, and he mentioned, I forget the gentleman's name, that the radiant tiles will only be in the back tiles and not in the center of the room. So these tiles would not have the radiant being only like the back of the wall would. And so that, I think it's helping me understand it's more robust design. The contractor have been installing the radiant tiles in other projects, including Manchester schools. I think that's important to know. And it's important because, and it's a popular choice because radiant tiles free up the floor space compared to ground level radiators. And I added, Greg was concerned with the cost of repairs and cost of potentially damaging tiles that contain the hot water, but the story was.
Yeah, does anybody have any objections to those additions?
Yeah, more.
Oh, you have more. Okay, all right,
Go ahead.
Still November the 9th?
So nice.
Okay.
Still looking.
yep, okay.
It's a nice long meeting we did.
It was a nice
Very
letter, and I
entertaining.
think, you know, the minutes should be summary minutes, so, but I appreciate adding those things that are kind of germane to
Yeah.
the spirit of the meeting.
Actually, I want to ask about this later, but one thing Steve mentioned there that I didn't remember from the meeting, but I watched from the video, that struck me was Steve mentioned that he had experience in school saving lots of money by swapping out the old light bulbs with the new light bulbs.
Yes.
I just want to mention that, and I can tell why later, because I was suspicious of that because I thought in New Hampshire we get so much heat from the light bulb might help us because we're in a colder environment than say Florida, they're paying the air conditioning now, but if you just mentioned that the light bulbs do save money, that would, I think, be good to have in a minute.
Going from incandescent to LEDs.
Yeah, and that was the meeting where the rep from was
Right? Did I get that right?
Fluorescent.
Fluorescent, sorry, no, it's okay.
Oh, the
You
fluorescent.
were there, you were definitely there. You were
Wait,
there.
from fluorescents or to fluorescents?
From fluorescent,
From fluorescents to LEDs.
I was close.
You were there, yes.
Yeah, I'll send it to you.
Okay, all right.
I'll-
And it isn't, is it?
More?
Sure.
I'm sorry, is this not helpful?
No, this is what this time. is for.
Okay, at the end of the meeting, the committee discussed voluntarily raising funds as opposed to raising taxes for items such as replacing a roof. Some thought that residents don't want to support capital items. But I know it's passion project of mine, so I just wanted to mention that I'm representing that issue in these committees. And then the last thing that I thought was a real banger of the meeting that wasn't covered in the draft notes was, Shannon asked what happens if we don't get our capital fund balance in a particular year, and Steve Chamberlain responded, you always do, you freeze the budget until you hit it. That's what we did every year, and Shannon and Greg supported the strategy of putting it in the budget as a line item, although I think Amy mentioned it's also excess funds. Just to explain what that capital reserve fund is.
Well, so, yeah, one approach is freeze the budget. Some districts don't like to freeze the budget to support fund balance, but some do.
Right. So I'll send those to you then, don't have an objection to it.
I don't have any objection, but I do just, again, want to remind everyone that our minutes are not, the intent of the minutes is not to be verbatim, so I think we're teetering on.
Oh, no, it's 2 hours of video, it's not 2 hours of.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying, I don't have an objection, but I do want, I think as we review our minutes and keep that in mind, and it's not on this one, but I thought on one of these meeting minutes, it did have something at the bottom, so we'll make sure it's on both of them, Christine.
Yeah, it's on the. December
Um,
one. I must have
That
missed it on
explains
this
to
one.
people that it is
Yeah.
a summary of the minutes, or of the
I think
meeting.
One of them,
And-
the thing at the end said, the video's on YouTube, I think that was a helpful link.
Yeah.
I know that, but I'm not sure everybody.
No, I agree, so I thought it was on both, but I'm not seeing it on the 9th, so we'll,
Yeah,
if we
That
can
was
get
great.
that, that would be great.
Mhm.
Cool.
that's all I got for
Okay.
tonight.
So with those corrections in mind, then, can I get a motion to accept?
I
the
move
November-
to accept the modification into the November 9th minutes.
I will second.
Great, all in favor? Fantastic, so those minutes with the additions that Greg noted will be accepted. Now moving on to December, I'm guessing you may have some thoughts there, Greg?
Actually did, got to watch 2 videos, you weren't too boring in that first meeting, so I had to watch the second one. The opening line said something like, or one of the opening, I think second paragraph, but it said, Greg Fritz believes the community will want to know what it would cost to do nothing. Right, that's the second paragraph under discussion. And then watching the video,
That should be 14. Sorry, I see it.
on the December 14th,
Yep,
the second paragraph is discussion, that says Greg Fritz.
December 14th.
here you go, Christina, I have it here, if this helps you.
There.
Terry.
Oh, perfect.
Terry, yay. Sorry, okay, here we are. Where are we? Oh, yeah, there.
Didn't we discuss that if we did nothing, we'd have to renovate certain items? In order
We
to
did.
comply?
That's in the draft minutes.
Okay,
So my only thing there was I watched the video and Terry was remote and she introduced the idea of the quote, do nothing option, and I did mention that it would be a good thing for the community to know the details. So just I didn't introduce it, I think it would be better if we either said the committee discussed it or
Sure.
Terry addressed it.
Yeah, I agree with the committee, because it was a full committee.
It was a
discussion.
lot of discussion on it,
Yeah.
so I want to give Terry credit where credit's due, and I don't want to take the full.
Oh, no, I mean, I think it's something that is a question that we get. And we
Make some
haven't,
additions, corrections, to minutes, right?
sweet, so we haven't revisited in a while, and so, yeah.
And then this, I guess, oh, shoot, I didn't take my comments on that one. Well, I have a second comment, and then apparently at the end of it. At the end of the meeting, I don't remember the timestamp, I'm sure I can probably help you over that, and I send this to you electronically, but. There was a discussion about price sensitive voters, and I know it was a community discussion as well, so we can share the credit for that. And it was talking about voters who would vote yes if the price per address were cheaper. What price would buy people over from no to yes, and we didn't reach a consensus to, as to what the cost per address would be to be acceptable to about 60% of the voters. I just want to mention we did talk about it, we are thinking about those things. And I guess that's it, I'll leave off the last comment about the joint.
Did we have a cost as regards to, so we're replacing the portables as part of do nothing?
Yes,
Yeah.
but let's get through the minutes first, John. if you
Oh,
don't
well,
mind. Can we get?
okay, well, I
yeah.
was wondering if that should be in the
Oh,
minutes.
I don't think Greg freshly watched the meeting, so
Okay.
I don't know. if we-
I don't recall that.
Yeah, I don't think.
Today.
Specific said.
I don't wanna be accountable.
Did you get, so can you help me again on your last point that you just made there? So you want to make sure that the minutes include a summary of our discussion regarding price
Price
sensitive
sensitive voters, cause I asked the question, I think maybe someone else brought it first, but
or the concern about price.
I asked a question about, for price sensitive voters, do we have any guess on what price per address would convince them to vote yes?
What do you mean price? I don't recall
So
price per
people-
address. That phrase is just. new,
Oh, I
so-
think I used that in the video, that's why I wrote it down here.
Yeah, no,
So I thought that, because it's not, because remember, we don't. We vote as individuals,
Mhm,
but we tax as an address, so we can have 3 or 4 voters in an address,
Mhm.
right? So that's kind of what I was, that's where it comes into my $1 million projection, say 1,500 voters voted yes on Article 12 last year. You can't just, and that would have been $1,000 increase in their tax bill, but you can't just say that's $1 million of money we were left behind. Because many of them probably have shared the same address,
Gotcha.
right? So, I don't know if there's a better way that government people think about taxes than than cost per address, that's my word.
Gotcha.
So the discussion we had, just for the minutes sake, was about how do we get voters that are voting no on costs, because that was what you guys said, you heard the most frequent
Mhm.
reason for no on 12 last year. What is there a price where they would vote yes? They're truly price sensitive people, when we didn't get through the census, but I'd like it noted that we tried to dig into our
Yep.
crystal balls and,
Yep.
we didn't come up with anything.
Okay. Okay, anyone, any thoughts on that? Okay, so then I will entertain a motion to accept the minutes with the additions that Greg has mentioned.
I make a motion to approve the amended minutes of December the 14th.
I will second.
All right, all in favor?
Yes.
I,
I wasn't here for the discussion, so I'll
Yep.
abstain.
There, okay, great, so that passes, thank you all, thank you, Greg. So moving on, our next item on the agenda is just an update on, from the Amherst School Board, and warrant Article 12, so. Warrant Article 12, we presented at the public hearing in January. Since the public hearing, we have received good news from the New Hampshire Municipal Bond Bank regarding the interest rate that they are recommending we use for budgeting purposes, so that's at 4%. We have sent, and again, they always are more conservative. It is conservative, right? We talked about that at the last meeting.
It would probably be lower, but they can't guarantee any lower, so that's what they had asked.
Can we discuss this for a minute, or do you want to?
No, I'm sure. go ahead.
So I've never liked that we do this really conservative thing. I mean, I don't wanna keep beating this, but like, I just feel like if we're accurate, if we. I don't think we have to follow, correct? We can do what we want, what we think is best for the town. Or do we have to follow it, the Mr. Thing? Is it like in law or something, or?
There's no law.
Okay, if they give us a quote, it makes sense to do that, but I just think it's more accurate to project the December bond sale, which is 3 and something, right? It's 344.
Well, they didn't have a 25-year. They had, and yet, so that's the other, we kind of really,
But
I think it's responsible of us to go with the number that
I
they
know.
provide.
Everyone says that every.
I
All right.
mean, I
I'll
like
try it.
the lower number.
I do
I
too.
like it because I think it's a lot more palatable
I think
and
it's more
probably
accurate.
realistic and accurate, but at the same time, if we were to promise that and then something happened and the municipal bond bank had suggested to us otherwise, and we went out on our own, then we're going to be accused
A
of,
lot of credibility lost.
we lose credibility because, well, you didn't listen, you put in a lower number to try to get our vote and then it shot, you know what I'm saying?
I do.
We
can-
also
it-
wouldn't
it's
get
tough.
enough money, because if we quoted a lower amount and we did it whatever, like they might not be able to raise everything we needed, would that affect that?
No, it's only the amount that's on the warrant,
No, but,
$50 million, it's not the
no,
interest.
but, right. And
I still think it's the responsible thing to go with the standard practice. And if we know we're gonna be using them for a bond, it would really fly in the face of working with them in a collaborative, honest way. If we didn't follow what they asked us to.
If someone on the board wanted to give a full-throated explanation of that and say, we're gonna go with 4 because that's what standard practice is, that's what the band bank
So
said.
we assume
Well,
it would probably.
Some of us in the community think it will be more like 3.5 or whatever. I don't wanna waste my 3 minutes saying that, so if you wanna do it, that would be cool.
Well, I mean, I think honestly, Shannon, I think it's fair for us to say we have every expectation and hope that it will be lower.
Yeah.
And that we can absolutely highlight the fact that it was lower in the most recent sale. However, in
And it-
sticking with our guidelines, we are using this more conservative.
It just affects the estimated tax impact. So these are estimates.
Right.
yeah, and I agree. I think in the public hearing, we said this is we use a conservative estimate, but maybe being a little
But
bit
nobody
more
knows how
clear.
you're being.
And
If
yeah,
you can say that we're gonna use 4 for budgeting, as we've been advised by the New Hampshire Municipal Bond Bank, however. We believe it's gonna be like 3.5, 3.44, which changes.
I don't know.
I it's better to give out
I
a
would say,
number, but
Saying lower would be
I
fair,
think, yeah.
a bit lower.
But we could say the most recent one
Because I
they
don't-
gave
Yeah.
was here and we
I think
can
before
highlight
we did
that.
last year, I think that's a good way to phrase it.
But I
Say
do
the
think,
most recent 30-year, 20, you could quote all of that, but we don't have 25-year.
Right.
No, I don't
That
want.
sounds fair. I think it's
Your
a good enough
credibility,
score.
there's gonna be 5 people on this board that's gonna have to answer this question, so
Right.
not anybody from the community, it's gonna be the people on the board.
Right.
I worry about it. I mean, I've never heard of anybody going off anything but a quoted from someone who actually knows actuarial tables and works with the interest rates. And if you vary from that, you're opening yourselves up to, you lied to us.
well, I don't think we're gonna vary, Steve. I don't think we're gonna promise anything. We're gonna simply say. Let us explain, this is where this number came from, but the most recent of an actual loan given was.
We don't
30
have-
year
we don't
settlement.
have
We
a
don't
comp,
an
though.
apples to apples.
We
I
don't
mean,
have an apples to apples,
so
and I wouldn't say expect it to
this
go
is
low.
my slide
Okay.
before, and all I will say is what I know to be true from from our
That's
partners
what I'd
in
stick
Hampshire
with.
Municipal Bond Bank, and I'm happy to explain.
Yeah.
That this is a conservative, it's an estimate, it's conservative for budgeting purposes. Like, that's what I'm comfortable to say, because that's all that.
I
we
would say
can-
the bond bank uses a
Accurate.
conservative number,
Right,
because they understand the high stakes of this number
That's
and the
right.
commitment to the community.
right.
So I think maybe. What conservative means to you and to others, it's a bit of a loaded word, so maybe it's just. Maybe even changing that word, saying that this is like a, worst case kind of.
And
thing.
I would say
But
worst
is that
case,
the-
but I would say
the
high side.
Does
Yeah,
the bond bank ever use the word conservative, right? Like,
I think
so then we
so. I
should
think
stay
they-
with conservative, I think.
Yeah, I think they
Bond bank
described it that way.
is using that. Just my thought.
This is.
What if it's fiscally
Sorry,
conservative?
Sorry, I hate
Is
that.
that
I'm sorry.
fair?
I distracted the whole
Sure.
meeting. I'm
fiscally
sorry.
conservative.
That's what you're here for.
I-
You're on the committee.
Trying
This
to
is
meet the
good.
middle.
This is.
I knew it was a good argument, I just try it.
Well, it's a discussion, though, it's not like.
It's
I
okay.
would love to put out the look, but
I got
I
it,
just-
sorry.
I wouldn't, but.
We
think
certainly
it's
can't
okay.
promise anything, but
I wouldn't even expect it, Gavin. We just heard they're not expecting it to lower the feds. It's not gonna lower it in March, they just said. And what if? they
well,
were
that's good
saying
and
that
bad though, because I think that when the,
Who? The Fed's not gonna lower their prime rate in March, they just said.
No way.
even if, but that affects like credit card interest and that, but sometimes bonds go the other way, so I'm actually okay with it staying stable, but that means this will probably stay pretty stable. Because it can actually
Oh, yeah, I mean, we
mess
prefer
with
it.
things the other way, you know?
Yeah, use the professionals, that's their job.
I always like to be conservative anyway, just from that point of view, like, I like that, Amy likes that, like, you know what I mean, it's just like a, I don't know.
We're going all in,
Just me, sorry.
well, you're aggressive,
Moving on.
you're aggressive guy.
I get it.
I recommend that you should only go with what the state advises you to use. And do not put any perceived notion out there that we could make it lower. That's not our business. And I don't wanna put it out to the voters out there. Well, you said it's gonna be 3.5.
Right,
I agree.
right,
That's wrong.
yeah.
It's dangerous. I agree.
So yes, let's add the word fiscally to conservative, and I think that we are there.
So that's what the board will talk about, or you're just gonna.
Know
put that
what
in?
the vote is doing this town.
Well, we are the board members who are gonna be.
It is.
And that's essentially.
I do.
I have no idea.
Yeah.
Okay.
3 times before we got the high school for 3 times.
The 3 votes for
That's
town
the
meeting?
average.
I didn't know that.
I think Bedford took 5.
3 votes for capital?
Nationwide
Oh, 2 more.
capital, building expenses, 2 failures and a win.
I know how you feel.
Nation, huh? New Hampshire's funding so different. I mean,
All right,
Okay,
continuing on
Thank
your.
you.
minutes.
I saw online, what do I know? I didn't count them all.
no.
Yeah, no, so good conversation. So that was the big thing. The deliberative session is Monday, February 5th,
Woo-hoo.
6 p.m. at Souhegan High School. I have my dates right. I think in our last meeting, I had a lot of dates confused,
More
so
paper?
you guys check me
Huh?
on that.
It is Monday.
It's Monday.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
should I say anything about the weather or just looks clean, right?
Oh.
I did knock on wood.
It's gonna be a sunny weekend because I have my father-in-law's memorial on Saturday and I've been watching it like snowing on Friday, fine, clear on Saturday, great. So,
Is it still a little more?
Interesting.
it's
Little
gonna be in
bit.
the 40s, so it's probably gonna be freezing rain.
Check is,
what time?
The board's
6
budget,
p.m.
the moderator.
March clear.
how about next week?
Next week looks great.
That's what I thought it looked good too. Love nice, clear
Yep,
weather.
yep.
So the weather looks good, so that's great. I hope everyone will be able to attend. Our presentation does have some additional slides added to it from what you saw at the public hearing. So we talked a lot at the last meeting about that maintaining the status quo number or the cost of doing nothing. So we've added that. Roger and Matt at DEW did a lot of work there.
Thank
So
you.
basically, we have 3 numbers that have been costed out to present to the community. It was 33,134,904 on the maintaining the status quo option. That does leave the 5th grade at the middle school. That number doesn't do anything for AMS. It doesn't do anything for any space there. That number does include all of the items in the renovate repair, or not renovate addition, minus the addition,
Yep, I'm with you.
and portables,
And replacement. part.
and replacement
Perfect.
portables, correct.
Well done.
Then the reno addition cost, which we're all familiar with, was that 46 number, and the bill to suit's the 49.9. So we're presenting those costs. We are also presenting tables that compare our space. So number of current existing rooms, number of proposed rooms, and what's the square footage increase in the new plan to meet the needs. So those are going to be presented, and I'm grateful to Roger and Amy and the admin and building
When
admin
you
for all
said-
of their.
When you said, how are you presenting the square foot? You're gonna show the square foot for each option, or you're gonna show the square foot increase? What'd you say?
Square footage increase. So one table is instructional spaces,
Okay,
and it compares the number of rooms we have now
yeah.
versus what's in the new plan and the increase from our existing to our
Do you
new.
have the total?
We
square
have,
footage?
but we're not, I mean, it's extensive raw data, so I'm not
Yeah, it is top
presenting
line. You don't
all
have-
of that.
Do we have a headline number of what the total square footage is, so people can do like a cost per square foot calculation?
I wouldn't put that up. I would just say number of classrooms. And we add square footage later. So when we come to put it on the ballot, we're on the ballot yet?
Well,
That comes after the.
we do know our total square footage though. I mean, we,
No,
Why are we not saying this?
for the
No,
plan.
the total square footage is included
Okay.
in, not on this, I mean,
But
it's
it's in the
in the
presentation.
Yeah.
The
presentation.
presentation, okay.
Yeah,
No, it's absolutely.
yeah, so we
there.
have, because in our, actually in our public hearing presentation, that was already on there.
Thought it was.
The totals.
Yeah,
Yes, total, that's all.
Well, and-
Total cost, total square footage. It's good.
yeah, no, that was in the what's different
Gotcha,
table, that was in the, and that's remaining.
Gotcha.
We're just
Thanks.
adding
And
to that.
we're not going to have a lot of discussion over the way we're not going, right? So
Right.
we will be focusing primarily on,
But what's on the?
this is the plan, this is what's gonna be on the ballot. And so we will mention, yes, we looked at all, we will very briefly step on it, and we have gone over it in more detail at these other meetings. And if anybody wants to go to those, they're available, they can go to that. The information is out there, but in this presentation of deliberative, we need to focus on here's what we're actually putting on the ballot. So that would be the majority of what we
Who's
discussed.
doing the presentation?
Terry and I. Me and
Okay.
Terry, yeah.
Is the school board involved anywhere?
We are
the
the
board.
board.
I thought you were this committee.
We're your Amherst School Board representatives on this committee.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
You're not-
Take off one hat, put on another,
All right.
Yes.
all day long.
I just want to know, the school board gonna be there on the platform?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
For presentation.
Just to, if they ask questions, that's what.
Yeah, no, the question.
I
here
just
is-
didn't want us to be in one corner and the others in the other corner, not saying a word.
No,
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 that's
no,
right.
no, no, the board will
That
be,
has happened.
yeah, the board will be taking all the questions.
Okay.
Yep, yep, and we'll have our representatives from Banwell and DEW or
That's it.
they're coming as well for any.
Lion Bond's there as well.
Time, oh, great, oh, that's
Yeah.
great, okay.
Well, and for those of you who are on this committee, we would love for you to come up to the microphone and say, hey, I've been part of this process and I really believe in it, and please do. We would love that, because I think it's important for people to know that it's not just Shannon thinks is a great idea,
Well-
everything is a great idea, like.
When I did the high school, we were doing a presentation and the school board was just sitting there dumb and founded.
Oh, no, no,
Didn't say a frigging word.
we are owning this. This
And I
is,
got mad at them terribly.
I don't
Then I
blame you.
joined the board.
Oh, there you go.
Well, no, we are owning this and we appreciate all of your support and work, and we absolutely give credit where it's due. But this is something that at this point we own and we're presenting.
When we built the high
But, I
school.
mean, obviously, what we've discussed in committee is informing
Oh,
what we're presenting that night,
That's just,
so.
that's just another job I can't involve. in.
Not even one.
Okay, so that's my quick and quick update on warrant article 12, because I think everyone here is pretty well versed.
Article 12, what was it?
It's warrant article 12.
That's the
It's the,
project.
it's the building project.
Well, I wasn't there I haven't been there for a month, and I'm going away for another month.
Vote,
Yeah.
are you coming back to vote?
If not.
I'll be
yeah,
in
yeah,
March.
yeah.
All right, I'm just saying, I
We'll
can
be
tell
in
you how to get an
February.
absentee ballot if you would like me to
I
share.
was gonna
that
say,
information.
absentee totally counts, please do.
I can pick you up.
No, next week,
Okay, this-
next week I'm
this
going
is
to.
bars. Come on, guys, let's get focused. We're focusing.
All right.
All right, so warrant article 12 is the school bond.
Okay,
issue.
thank you.
You're welcome. Yes,
Is
so.
Is it on the web?
That was before the war.
Yes.
So there wasn't a co-op.
School board? That's what I'm saying.
It's under the finance tab, Amy, is that right?
What is?
Is that where the warrant article 12 information is? John's asking where he can find it on the
Everything's
website,
posted right on the front page.
right on the front page.
Yep, yep. The
SAU
warrant-
39.org.
warrant,
Thank you.
the
You're welcome.
Budget, the fall, it's all there.
Yeah. Okay, so before we move on into Roger's updates, does anyone have any other like thoughts, questions? So I guess one more update from the board. The board is working to actively reach out to community groups and various, stakeholder groups and just have information tables like we did last year, or like they did last year. So I know that our chair is going to the Amherst Republican meeting on Saturday to present the budget and the articles. The Amherst PTA has invited us to their annual budget and article with the town evening coming up at the end of this month. We have, I just left the library for a little info table at story time. There's some senior programming happening at the library. We're really trying to find ways to reach those pockets of the community who may not have kids in the school or be involved and give them the opportunity to ask questions so that we can respond. So if anyone has any thoughts on where we could go,
Where's the
Um,
Republican one?
I
Where is
believe
it?
that's a Joey's or Mary Ann's diner.
Mary Ann Dunn?
I actually just saw the posting for that.
That's a Saturday?
That's this Saturday,
Oh, this Saturday.
and I'm not, I'd have to double check the
Is
time.
it breakfast meeting?
That's what I'm checking. Give me 1 second if you want that information. I
Yes,
just need to look it up.
Karen
So which one are we looking
reached
at?
out to me to invite me. It's not really the right place for me to go.
Mhm.
And I'm out of town anyway, but
Tom's
I
going.
suggested he contact a board member.
Yeah, Tom is going. Give me 1 second, John. and
Are you
I can
looking up
find
at
the
10 a.m.?
times. Oh, did you find it?
I have scheduled for the February 3rd meeting at 10 a.m. to present on all articles.
There you go.
Is
10
that,
a.m.
is that the Amherst Republicans you're asking?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm a registered Republican, my dear.
All right, 10 a.m. Marion.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm just
What
making
did you
sure I'm telling you. the
7
right thing.
a.m.?
10 a.m.
10 a.m.
10 a.m. at Mary Ann's.
Some is breakfast, 10 is the meeting.
Like,
I was in there
a
when,
long breakfast, a long time in between. Okay, great. then we will move on, into our next agenda item, which is building and grounds updates from Roger. There are, we've reached out to the Democrats, they did not, they're not, my understanding of that group is that they're not as regular in their meetings as the Republicans are. We did reach out to that group. They are not able to accommodate us on an agenda. However, they have offered to push out any information that we want to send them.
What
So
about the WA?
the Women's Association,
Yeah,
oh, that's a good idea, at the Congregational Church.
yeah,
Can I reach out to Sally for
of
that?
course you can.
Okay, so I'll reach out to Sally for that. We've, who else have we reached out to? The Lions Club, we're waiting to hear back on the
Yes.
chili cook-off. So Tom has taken that group and I don't know if he's heard back yet. We have the schedules for all of the like high school and rec sports. So we'll have info tables set up at various times where we're hoping we can capture, people walking by, asking questions. I've been in contact with the recreation department. I'm on that commission. The commission's very supportive. And they do a monthly Meals on Wheels, co-op group at Buck Meadows. So I'm trying to get on for that
Okay.
meeting coming up. And then, there's also a senior walking time at the Dome. Reaching out to Hampshire Hills to see about getting an info table at their Saturday morning swim lessons. So really casting a wide net, based on ideas that people are giving to us. So if you
We also
have
have Conservation Commission.
yeah, Conservation Commission, you have the spreadsheet.
I do. And we reached out I sent an email today to the Garden Club, Amherst Garden Club, which has a very big membership. The fellows, I'm trying to have a time, I've met with them before, where just those interested meet at their central clubhouse. And so I'm waiting to hear back from Summerfield because my old board member, he's no longer on the board. I'm waiting to hear from the new board. Heritage Commission, we've reached out, the town library, Shannon's already gone to a few and she'll be going to additional. Parkhurst, if anybody knows who to reach out to at Parkhurst. We would like to go talk to some of those residents.
Victoria might have a contact.
Oh, okay.
Atherton,
I
I
had
sent an
Atherton.
email today. Oh,
Did you send an email to Vicky?
Yeah.
Okay, that's yeah. I haven't emailed her yet, so that's good.
okay, I emailed today.
Should
Um,
update on the senior thing that we're doing at Wilkins.
Oh, yeah, I mean, that's a PTA thing,
Oh.
not a board thing, so
When
Sure.
you're done, when Tara's done, I'll.
And PTA, they're pulling together some things to try and get us some visibility and they're providing, childcare at, I know at Deliberative and then,
At our meeting on the 21st, where we invite the town and school people to present budgets, and then also at voting day, which, in case someone doesn't want to bring their little
Yeah.
baby carriage in, they can just leave it in a room with some students that will watch. It's what we do.
no, thank you so much, because I think it's a huge thing. It's one of those, it's takes away one more reason that someone wouldn't actually come out.
Right, and there's a lot of stuff on there, so people, may not want the distraction. I know my kids were very distracting, but I dragged them in anyway. But so I just wanted to tag on to Shannon's update that PTA has scheduled some coffees and we've invited the board to come if they, would like to, otherwise it's gonna be PTA members and building administration to invite parents that come in after drop off. Maybe show them around a bit, talk to them about the project. And we're working in conjunction with Clark Wilkins and the rec department for a what do we call it? Community Connections, which is kind of targeting the senior community with some of the developments that you had mentioned. There's a sign up for that went out to some of those folks. Victoria Parisi's helping us with that too. And we're gonna have them in at Clark Wilkins on Friday. Friday, it's next week, February 9th.
The night,
Yeah, I think it's next Friday.
yeah.
And so PTA is gonna serve lunch and we're going to, have a space for the people to ask questions, see them,
Make it
look
an
at the
in-
boards. Yeah,
I think that's been a long,
it has been, yeah.
priority and idea with the district, and then COVID sort of sent it
Right.
Yeah.
sideways
So
with
we're hoping this
getting.
will be like the first
community in.
annual kind of thing. It's nice now that we can share some information on our warrants, but I think, Kathleen was even saying maybe a semi-annual thing, just, and they're also gonna spend time with our first graders. Our first grade teachers are involved in this and they're gonna, go into classrooms and read with children just for a little bit. I mean, it's only an hour and a half, I think, the whole thing. But, you know, it'll be a nice community connection, at least, I think.
Nice.
So when's your first PTA?
Our meeting is February 21st at 6 p.m. I think.
I won't be here.
Okay.
Okay,
I'll
Great.
play golf.
all right, so now Roger, I'll kick it over to you then.
Yeah, just real quick, we also have some project boards that we created. There's,
Oh, yeah, great.
one at Wilkins. Yeah, there's one at Wilkins, there's two at the library, and Shannon has two as well that she's traveling with.
Yeah.
Um,
Roadshow, I'm gonna get a magnet for the side of my van.
they came out really nice, though. I mean, we had them last year, but this one is.
No, these are nice.
They are.
Yeah,
They're
they're
done
gonna
really
stand up well too.
I saw a picture of it, it looks
Yeah,
great.
it's nice.
I've been working with, since the board has approved EEI for AMS this summer, I already have meetings set up with EEI administration at the building and facility staff. We're starting February break to walk these areas. Although EEI is doing everything, we have a lot to do on ourselves as far as what are we able to clean up within these classrooms for the time being. Everything does need to be moved, helping coordinate that. And then I'm also working with facility staff, because although we're doing a renovation on this portion of the building, it also is going to help the other areas that we're not doing anything on. And what I mean by that is some of our windows, have lost their glazing. We're doing a window renovation. On this side, we're actually able to take a window that's in better condition than the other side of the building and replace it until we're actually able to get to that.
Purpose.
Oh,
Yes, yes, that's where I'm looking at, so I'm meeting with the team to do that as well. We're doing the same thing with unit ventilator controllers. We have 12 unit ventilators. During COVID, we upgraded the HVAC control system over there, so these 12 controllers are now going to the shelf to help us. They're pretty much $1,000 a controller, so we're gaining that. We're gaining just the actuators, the valves. We are going to remove anything during the demo portion to use for stock on our shelves and help repair other areas in the building.
Nice.
So on the window swaps, will they be doing that for us in the summer or how are we?
We
doing?
will contract a window vendor to do that for us. Some of the windows, if it's actually in the track, it actually just comes right out of the track and we don't need a vendor to do that. It's the ones that are just the fixed panels in place. I do need a window vendor. If we're finding that it's the same dimension and does fit in another portion of the building, a window vendor will need to do that. But with having the materials, we're really looking at just labor costs. And at this point, I brought it up here, but I actually don't know. We still need to actually go through and count how many windows are we able to repurpose, the sizing. I just wanted to bring it up here as we are looking.
So will that lengthened demo, because they're now the demoing being careful as opposed to just a rough demo, now it's gonna be a piece demo.
No. We're doing everything so that we're making sure we don't impact EEI whatsoever. As far as on our end, if it's an owner item. We're making sure.
So that demo rescuing the windows is us, we're doing that ourselves.
No, we'll work with them, but we'll do work with a window vendor to install it on the other end. It'll be, we'll work together on this as far as moving throughout each individual classroom for what we can remove. Make sure it doesn't impact the timeline on the project.
I think one of the next board meetings, Mike and everybody, I think we're gonna have to talk about a no later than date for school to end.
Oh, yeah.
Say again?
Well, and
A no later than date for school to end, because in order to get this project done, we need to get them in there soon, either, you know.
I think in board notes, Tom said already committed to a date.
Friday.
Yeah, it's
No, for this work to
like
start.
the
That
informal just hasn't been designated yet, but the informal piece
Yeah.
is no later than that, right? We want to turn the
Yeah,
place
turn it
over on
over.
that Monday. But I think at some point it needs to get more formal on it, because it's a big project this time.
It's gonna be very, very tight. I know that.
Yeah.
No more snow then.
That's the only bogey, right? The only new shift for the day.
And the board has the option to, you know, what to do with the calendar, to extend it or to cut it. So the board has to make that decision.
Mhm.
And EEI has talked about it a couple of times too. They've guaranteed that we'll be up and writing, but there will be some items that they need to address as we go into the school year as well. But those are minor.
Nothing that's
Roger,
disruptive to class.
No, and we'll be up and functioning as far as HVAC, lighting, ceilings, roof.
Windows.
Yes.
If you have some window losses during the removal process? What's the backup plan?
As far as window losses, help me out with that.
You're saying you're taking out, I thought you said you're taking out windows on one side and putting them on another. Is that what you're doing?
Yes,
What if you break them on the removal process?
then we'll make sure that we haven't taken out the other side until we know that the window that we're replacing it with is as good fitting order.
Okay.
Great question.
Sounds like high risk.
with this remove and replace plan, are we getting into the window casing? Like, I know there was some asbestos in some of the, like, are we?
It's just the
we're not
window
getting
itself.
the-
It's not the casing. It's nothing like
Okay.
that.
Okay, because then that's a whole
That's a really good question.
cost. right?
Yes,
Yeah.
definitely. Staying on AMS, I'm working with, Liberty Utilities, DMI and Eversource. I just had a meeting today with DMI and Eversource. We've sent them all of the plans to see what we're available for, as far as rebates with saving on gas and saving on electric energy. So they have all the plans. They've responded with some questions that I've sent off to EEI, so we're working on the rebates for that.
Rebates with the new,
As far as what, although we are paying 1.6, I mean, potentially, I mean, not hold me to this, we are able to get maybe $20,000 to $100,000 back, depending on the efficiencies that they look through the design and feel that we'll gain on the building envelope. Other things are, we have replaced the 2 calf drains in the middle school cafeteria. We found that those were leaking and we have been dry since those were replaced.
when was that?
That was, I feel like everything's a blur to me. It was this past weekend, I feel, or. it
Okay,
was-
so
it was
we haven't
just-
had a good hard, like,
No,
break on that.
we've still been frozen,
Yeah.
but we are doing a little bit of thawing, but I've been reaching out to the building each day and we haven't seen any drips whatsoever at all.
That's kind of more in the middle.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's the middle of the cafeteria. We also found that we know when we did roof section H, that a portion of roof section H goes over the office area off of the cafeteria. We were leaking in that office area. We did contact roof H vendor and EEI back. We actually found that it wasn't the roof H roof, it was our calf roof. Since then, we have replaced and repaired that portion of the calf roof and we've been dry in that office area as well. EEI and the vendor were very responsive. They gave us some feedback. We followed up on that and found that it actually wasn't roof H.
That's good.
That is very good.
Roger, how separated are probably the wrong word, the area under the roof, below the ceiling, like that attic space, whatever that's called in a school? How separated are they? We know the roofs are separated. Is there any barrier between them? Or when you get a leak in one, it goes through to another, do you damage all the insulation, everything like that that's in?
There's usually not any insulation on the interior, so you
Okay,
have.
cold roofs.
Yes, you have the roofing membrane, insulation. Sometimes concrete, then a metal deck, sometimes just a metal deck.
Okay,
We just have a metal deck at middle school. That's
Okay.
everything outside. Then you go into just an air gap. There's nothing up there other than mechanical systems,
Okay.
wiring, supports, and then you go into the drop ceiling after that. So
Okay.
it is a cold ceiling above that. There's no insulation.
I thought when I was in the upper level of the split level part of the middle school, there was some tiles, and you could see like pink insulation up there, but maybe I'm mistaken.
I'm not sure where.
Okay. That was like your interesting.
Um,
So I think my question is, there's no extra damage, when you have a leak that you described, you're not.
no, there's no extra damage. I mean, obviously, if we're on HVAC and if there's ventilation up there and we're soaking the insulation on the ventilation, then obviously we're making sure that that ventilation is dry. If it is wet, we're replacing it.
Okay, that's great. That's nice to know.
And then the only last thing here is we did lose the water heater in the boiler room that was installed at AMS at the last renovation. We quoted just the exact replacement. It was a $20,000 water heater that was installed originally, and installing that again came in under 20,000. We changed to an on-demand Rinnai gas heater with an 80-gallon storage tank. We purchased all of the materials ourselves, and then we used just a plumber for labor. We were able to do that for $6,200. So we're back up and running, with that as well.
Thank you.
Where, which one, where?
It's a lot
We
of
have
money.
a bunch of water heaters at AMS and the water heater in the boiler room, it failed on us and we had to replace it.
It's hard to
Okay.
catch.
If we had replaced it in kind, John, it would have been just under 20,000 for the same one. We changed to an on-demand wall-mounted Renai
Good.
with a 80-gallon storage tank with, our circulating pump.
$20,000 for a water heater?
It's just, sometimes when it was installed on the last project that they did there, so I don't want to say when you have engineering involved, sometimes that you get a lot of expensive components within a building. So you do.
This was the annex edition, the like.
No, this was actually, this was in the boiler room and it was feeding, locker room areas, the gym bathrooms there, and it went to the first floor level of middle school as well. Then there's another one on the second floor that feeds second floor, and then there's actually another one in the maker space that feeds that little area. So that was just exciting because we were able to do that. We looked at that, we worked with our in-house staff and our vendors that work well with us, and we actually were able to save a lot.
Good,
Awesome, thank you.
that's why we paid it.
Thank you, Jim.
Question on,
Go beyond.
going back to what you're saying about the controllers, repurposing controllers on the unit ventilators.
Yes.
So for example, in the annex portion of AMS, that's not slated to be touched at all anytime soon, but I know some of those unit ventilators are rattling and loud, so will that correct some of those
If we're
challenges that
able,
we have in those classrooms?
I don't think that any of the ones in this section are the same model as the annex. Cause this is, we're on the
Yep,
older section of the
yep,
building, so,
okay.
but with that, although it might not gain the annex side, we gain all of the unit ventilators that we still have in the other two pods and the fine arts.
Oh, yeah, no, I mean, that's great. I just know that one's further
Yeah.
down the road, so, okay. Great,
section.
awesome. Okay, does anyone have any questions for Roger? Okay, so right now, our next meeting is scheduled for March 14th. That is the Thursday following Election Day. So
We have more minutes to approve.
I mean, yeah, we'll have minutes from today. We
I
don't have
thought
any
more than
other,
today. Did we have everything else approved for these?
so.
two? Oh, we did.
I think we.
Oh, okay.
we're all caught up with the exception of those two, but I can go back and double check.
Yeah, I can look too.
Let's make sure.
But I'm
Because
pretty
year
sure-
end, we wanna get
Yeah,
it done.
I'm
Dr.
pretty sure
John
we're
did
caught
it,
up.
Dr. John did all of it,
You did it all?
three weeks, three meetings, so.
All right, great.
So-
Well,
Oh, we got the other meeting. so-
okay,
Oh, we good?
meeting adjourned at 12:23.